The Sovereign's Edict, a master treatise on the gnosis of value and the law of obligation. Treatise Introduction, the Gnosis You Are Owed. Chapter 1, the First Gnosis, Intangible Property as the Sole Basis of All Value in the Commercial Matrix. Chapter 2, the Second Gnosis, the Great U.S. Obligation and the Statutory Keys to the Kingdom. Chapter 3, the First Mechanism, Acquisition, Mastering the 1099-A as Your Declaration of Sovereignty. Chapter 4, the Second Mechanism, Barter, Mastering the 1099-B and Monetizing the Total Volume of Your Life. Chapter 5, the Deconstruction of the Taxpayer, Your True Identity as Surety, Controller, and Claimant. Chapter 6, the Source of All Power, the Spiritual Covenant, and the Inherent Authority of the People. Chapter 7, the Master's Praxis, an operational synthesis of advanced application, procedure, and mindset. A treatise on the monetization of intangible property and the true nature of money. Chapter 1, the First Gnosis, Intangible Property as the Sole Basis of All Value in the Commercial Matrix. 1.1 Introduction, The Awakening to the Monetized Reality. You, who have come to this text, stand at the precipice of an awakening so profound that it will permanently alter your perception of reality. You are here because you sense that the world of money, banking, and law, the world that has governed your every action since birth, is an elaborate stage play. You sense that you have been cast in the role of a debtor, a consumer, a taxpayer, a role that feels inherently false, a costume that chafes against your very spirit. You are correct. What you are about to learn is not theory. It is not philosophy. It is gnosis, the knowledge that separates the master from the slave. It is the red pill, the master key, the billion-dollar secret that the top-level elite have guarded for centuries. This is the Master Financial Strategist's Manual, and it is my purpose to deliver it to you, for it is your birthright. The foundational principle, the first gnosis from which all other truths flow, is this: everything in the United States is really monetized. You must burn this into your free, conscious mind. This is not an exaggeration. This is not a metaphor. It is the literal, legal, and commercial operating system of the matrix you inhabit. Everything you can conceive of, from the house you live in, to the car you drive, to the money in your pocket, to the time you spend, to the concepts in your head, has been drawn into a single, all-encompassing system of monetization. The system you have been taught is a lie. You have been taught that money is a scarce, valuable thing that you must earn from an employer and then spend, lose, in exchange for goods, or borrow, incur debt, from a bank. This is the debtor mindset. It is a carefully constructed illusion designed to control you. The truth is the creditor mindset. The truth is that money, as you know it, does not exist. It is an illusion of value. The true value, the only value, flows from you. It flows from your free conscious mind, your word, and your signature. You are the creditor. You are the originator. You are the creator of all value in the commercial realm. This chapter is the cornerstone of your gnosis. We will surgically deconstruct the very idea of value. We will prove that the entire commercial world operates not on substance, but on intangible property, on representatives and evidences of value. You will learn that the Federal Reserve note in your pocket is nothing but a certificate, a promissory note, a piece of intangible property with no intrinsic value. Then, you will learn the most profound secret of all: your own contracts, your promissory notes, your agreements, your word on paper, are also intangible property, and they are, in the eyes of the law and the banks, equivalent to cash. When you grasp this, the entire illusion of debt will shatter. You will understand that when you finance a car, you are not the borrower. You are the creator of the financial asset that funds the transaction. You are not in debt. You are the victim of a fraudulent, double-dipping scheme where you were never informed that your original note settled the account at closing. This is the first gnosis. It is the key to all that follows. Let us begin. 1.2 The primal asset, the free conscious mind, as the source of all value. Before we can define intangible property in a legal or commercial sense, we must first go to the source. Where does all value originate? What is the primal asset from which all property, money, and law are derived? The answer is not in a bank vault or a legal textbook. The answer is within you. The source text begins exactly here, not with finance, but with a profound spiritual and legal acknowledgement. And we give thanks to the Creator for purpose, for time, this moment right now. I'm always grateful for having a free conscious mind. I still think that is the most beautiful thing ever, that what created us did not see to control us in any shape, form, or fashion. I'm thankful for that. This is the cornerstone of all sovereignty and all value. The Creator, the ultimate God of this topic, created man and endowed him with a singular, priceless asset, a free conscious mind. This asset has one defining characteristic. It is free. It was not created to be controlled. From this one spiritual premise, we derive the supreme law of existence, a law that stands above the Constitution, above the U.S. Code, and above all kings or governments. So therefore, it is a God-given right and required that you be free. Don't ever forget that. Your freedom is not a right given to you by a government. It is a God-given right, an inherent property of your existence. And it is not merely an option, it is required. You are required to be free, to choose slavery, to act as a debtor, to consent to be controlled by a corporate fiction is a violation of your very purpose for existing. It is the original sin of commerce. Now, how does this free conscious mind relate to money? Your free mind is the only thing in the universe that creates value. It is the alchemical engine. An ounce of gold, a plot of land, a piece of paper, these things have no value in themselves. They are dead, inert matter. It is only when a free conscious mind looks at them and imbues them with purpose and faith that they acquire value. Value is an intellectual and spiritual concept. It is an agreement between free conscious minds. This brings us to the word. How does a free conscious mind express its will? How does it bind itself to an agreement? Through its word. The word is the bridge between the intangible realm of thought, your mind, and the physical realm of commerce, the contract. And just being able to fulfill purpose in the word of God, the law itself, I'm grateful for that. The ultimate law is the word of God. The commercial law is a reflection of this. Your word is bond. Your word, your promise, your signature on a document, is the physical manifestation of your free conscious mind, your creator-given asset, creating a new, specific, monetizable asset. Your intellectual thoughts are your property. Your religious belief is your property. Your rights are your property. Your signature is the monetization of all these things into a commercial instrument. This is why the entire system is built on intangible property. The entire system is a game of representatives of value, a matrix of agreements between free conscious minds. The elite who run this system know this. They know that money is an illusion, and the true game is the control and harvesting of intangible assets, assets that you create with your mind and your word every single day. 1.3 The Grand Illusion, defining intangible property and deconstructing money. Now that we have established you as the source of all value, let us look at the tools used in the game. The most important tool is money. But what is money? To understand this, you must first master the legal cornerstone of this entire treatise, the definition of intangible property. The law of taxation, the very system used to control you, gives us the master key. It defines intangible property as such property as has no intrinsic and marketable value, but it's merely the representative or evidence of value, such as the certificate of stocks, bonds, and promissory notes. This single sentence is the gnosis. Let us dissect it word by word, as a master strategist would. No intrinsic and marketable value. Intrinsic means belonging naturally, essential. The property itself is worthless. A stock certificate is just a piece of paper. It has no intrinsic value. A dollar bill is just paper and ink. It has no intrinsic value, but it's merely the representative or evidence of value. This is the secret. The property is not the value. It is the evidence that value exists somewhere else. It is a claim check. It is a symbol. It represents a promise, an obligation, a share in an enterprise. The value is abstract. It is intangible, such as the certificate of stocks, bonds, and promissory notes. This is the list of examples. Stocks, claims on a company; bonds, claims on a debt; and promissory notes, claims on a promise. Now, let us apply this gnosis to the money in your pocket. So with that being said, these Federal Reserve notes are considered what? Intangible property, because they hold no intrinsic value. This is the inescapable conclusion. A Federal Reserve note is, by the system's own definition, a piece of intangible property. It is not money. It is a promissory note. It is a certificate. It has no intrinsic value. So what does it represent? What is it evidence of? It's not literally backed by anything except for our faith to use it and extend it as its value. It is backed by your free conscious mind. It is backed by your faith. It is backed by the collective agreement of the people to treat this worthless piece of paper as if it has value. The money is not the asset. Your faith is the asset. This is the greatest confidence game in human history. The elite have convinced billions of free conscious minds to project their own inherent, God-given value onto a certificate, the Federal Reserve note, that the elite themselves print and control. They have harvested your faith. Now, let us compare this to other legal definitions. Money. The legal definition of money is simply a medium of exchange. It is that which is currently authorized or adopted by a domestic or foreign government. This is a functional definition, not a value definition. Money is just the authorized tool for facilitating barter. It is the authorized medium for settling transactions. It is not, in itself, value. Tender. The legal definition of tender is simply an offer of money. When you tender a Federal Reserve note, you are merely offering this medium of exchange to settle a claim. The Federal Reserve note is intangible property. It has no intrinsic value. A promissory note, it represents value. The authorized money, it is the medium of exchange. A tender, it is an offer of money. It is a certificate backed by your faith. Keep this in your mind. This is tool number 1. 1.4 The second gnosis, the universe of any intangible property. The system's controllers had to define the Federal Reserve note as intangible property, but in doing so, they created the very mechanism for our liberation. Because if their promissory note, the dollar bill, is intangible property, then what else falls into this category? The answer is the most powerful word in the entire legal system: any. Property means any real property, any. Y'all know what any mean, don't you? That word means any, all, any type of intangible property you can think of. The speaker in our source text is trying to shake you awake with this word. The gnosis is not just that money is intangible. The gnosis is that anything that is merely the representative or evidence of value is also in this category. And what does this universe of any intangible property include? So keep in mind, intangible property. So intangible property is your bank account. Intangible property is an address. Do I need that again? It's an address. It's accounts receivable. Intangible property is your contracts. This is the revelation that forms the basis of the billion-dollar manuscript. You are surrounded by and are the creator of countless intangible assets that you have been abandoning your entire life because you were taught they were worthless, or, even worse, that they were debts. Let us, as master strategists, do an exhaustive dissection of these assets. 1.4.1 Your bank account as intangible property. When you look at your bank statement and see a balance of $10,000, what are you actually looking at? You are not looking at money. There is no vault in the bank with your $10,000 in cash. You are looking at a digital ledger. You are looking at an entry. You are looking at a symbol. That $10,000 balance is, by law, intangible property. From your perspective, it is an accounts receivable. It is your right to demand $10,000 of the medium of exchange from the bank. It is a chosen action, a legal right, not a physical thing. From the bank's perspective, it is an account payable. It is their obligation to you. Every transaction on that statement, every deposit, every debit, is merely the movement of these intangible representatives of value. When you deposit a check, you are exchanging one piece of intangible property, a paper promissory note, for another, digital ledger entries. It is a barter. When you spend money with your debit card, you are exchanging those digital ledger entries for other assets, goods, services, etc. It is a barter. Your bank account is a ledger of your bartered intangible assets. And, as we will see in Chapter 4, you have been abandoning the value of 100% of these transactions by failing to report them as the barter exchanges they are. 1.4.2 Your address as intangible property. This is a gnosis of the top-level elite. It is a secret so deep it is hidden in plain sight. Intangible property is an address. Do I need that again? It's an address. Why is your address property? You cannot touch it. You cannot hold it. It is purely a representative of value. It is a concept. It is a domicile. It is a situs. What value does it represent? It represents jurisdiction. Your address is your legal connection point to the commercial matrix. It is the port where the ships of commerce, bills, notices, summons, checks, dock. By claiming this address, you are claiming dominion over that jurisdictional nexus. It represents commercial identity. Your address is required on every single contract you sign. The auto loan, the mortgage, the bank account, the driver's license, the taxpayer return. It is the foundational piece of your fictional person, the U.S. citizen, the surety, that we will deconstruct in Chapter 5. It represents a receivable. The address is the account. It is the location to which value, in the form of checks, credits, goods, and services, is sent. By not claiming your address as your intangible property, you allow the state, the corporate fiction, to claim it. The state then claims you as a resident, a subject, of its jurisdiction, all because you abandoned your own address property. Claiming your address is a profound act of sovereignty. It is, like the bank account, an asset you have been taught to ignore. 1.4.3 Your
What
rights,
if the
your
money
time,
you borrowed?
yourself as intangible property. This is the ultimate expansion of the any principle. The source text is explicit. All aspects of your free conscious mind and its interaction with the world are intangible property. Pretty much anything that you can't touch, like your rights, can't touch your rights, but still your property. Can't touch your religious belief, but it's still your property. Can't protect, your intellectual thoughts, but it's still your property. This is the legal and commercial basis for all lawsuits. A lawsuit for pain and suffering is a monetization of an intangible asset, your pursuit of happiness. A lawsuit for defamation is a monetization of your good name. A copyright is a monetization of your intellectual thoughts. The elite know this. They monetize everything. But they have taught you that these things are abstract and worthless until a court says otherwise. This is a lie. You are the creator. You have the first right to value your own property. And what is the most common, most valuable, and most stolen intangible asset you possess? Your time. That means your time. We can make acquisition on time, or you can abandon time. Your employment is a contract where you barter your intangible asset, time, labor, services, in exchange for their intangible asset, a check, digital credits. You have been taught this is an income to be taxed. This is the slave mindset. The master strategist sees the truth. It is an exchange of equivalent intangible assets. Your time is equivalent to cash. Your labor, goods, and services are what finance the United States and funds majority of the economy. You are not earning a living. You are funding the entire system with your abandoned time asset. 1.5 The supreme asset, the contract as equivalent to cash. We now arrive at the climax of this gnosis. We have established that money is a flimsy, faith-backed intangible asset. We have established that you are surrounded by other intangible assets, your bank account, your address, your time. Now, we will learn about the supreme asset. We will learn about the engine you use to create monetizable value from nothing. This asset is the contract. Your contracts, your mortgage, your auto loan, your credit card application, your employment agreement are the most valuable intangible property in the entire system. Intangible property is your contracts. Why? Because a contract is the direct physical manifestation of your free conscious mind and your word. It is the point of creation. The source text gives us two final, earth-shattering classifications for this supreme asset. 1.5.1 All contracts are promissory notes. Your contracts are what? Promissory notes. This is the first key. A promissory note is explicitly listed in the definition of intangible property. Therefore, all of your contracts are, by the system's own definitions, intangible property. A contract is a promise to perform. Your signature is the evidence of value of that promise. 1.5.2 All contracts are equivalent to cash. This is the billion-dollar secret. This is the gnosis that ends the debtor illusion forever. Your contracts are not formal problems, promissory notes, today? Yes. And then not only that, your contracts are also considered to be what? Equivalent to cash. Read that again, and again, burn it into your mind. Your contract is equivalent to cash. Now, let us walk through the great fraud that has been perpetrated against you. We will use the example of an auto loan. The illusion, what they taught you. You go to the bank as a borrower, a debtor. You beg the bank, the creditor, to lend you $30,000 of their money, which you believe is a scarce, valuable asset. The bank graciously agrees. You sign a promissory note, the loan document, as a promise to pay them back. The bank gives you $30,000, which you give to the dealer. You now owe the bank $30,000 plus interest, and you must work for 5 years to pay it back. The truth, the gnosis of the master strategist. You walk into the bank as the originator and the creditor. You are the only one with a free conscious mind in the room. The bank is a dead corporate fiction. You create a supreme intangible asset, a promissory note for $30,000. You create this asset out of thin air using your God-given right, your word, and your signature. This promissory note is, by their own definition, equivalent to cash. It is a financial asset. You give, or, more accurately, sell, this $30,000 asset to the bank. This is step 1 of the transaction. The bank accepts your $30,000 asset and stamps it received. The bank now owes you $30,000. It must give you an equivalent asset in return. The bank creates, out of thin air, $30,000 in digital credits, its own form of intangible property, on its ledger. The bank gives you these $30,000 in digital credits as payment for the asset you sold them. This is step 2 of the transaction. It is an exchange. It is a reciprocal giving and receiving. It is a barter. The transaction is settled. It is finished. You exchanged your $30,000 asset for their $30,000 asset. It was a valid and reciprocal exchange. No debt was ever created. The fraud, the double dip, the fraud is that the bank, after buying your $30,000 asset, turns around and tricks you into paying for it a second time, plus interest. They lend you back their own intangible money that they created as payment for your asset. They have been taught that you are a debtor and that you are ignorant of the fact that your signature created the value in the first place. The bank then takes your $30,000 note, your asset, bundles it with other notes, and sells it on the financial margins as a mortgage-backed security, making even more money. They sold your abandoned property. This is the gnosis. You are not a borrower. You are a creator. You are not a debtor. You are the victim of the greatest commercial fraud in history, a fraud built entirely on your ignorance of this one secret. Your contract is equivalent to cash. 1.6 The final link. Contracts as circulating notes. To seal this gnosis, the source text provides one final legal link that connects your contract directly to the money system of the United States. This is the definition of circulating notes. So circulating notes is similar instruments to letters of credit. They are drawn by resident bankers upon their foreign correspondents. Let us, as master strategists, decode this elite language. Foreign correspondence. The speaker states this plainly. The United States, it is a foreign entity. The Federal Reserve banks are foreign. They are foreign corporations operating on this land. Resident bankers, that is you. You are the resident, the people of the United States who are not the foreign entity. You are the one with the value. Instruments / letters of credit. This is your contract. When you sign a contract, you are not borrowing from the U.S. You are acting as a resident banker, a creditor, and drawing up an instrument, your note, which is equivalent to cash. This instrument is drawn upon the foreign correspondents, the United States / Federal Reserve, which is obligated to monetize it and circulate it as circulating notes, i.e., Federal Reserve notes. the medium of exchange. This is why the speaker concludes. So literally, all of our contracts are considered to be letter of credit. Your contract is money. It is a circulating note. It is a letter of credit. It is intangible property. It is a promissory note. And it is equivalent to cash. 1.7 Chapter 1 Conclusion. The first gnosis of the creditor. You have now received the first gnosis. The debtor reality has been shattered. You now understand. The only true value is your free conscious mind, a God-given right. Your word and signature are the monetization of this mind into intangible property. The money in your pocket, Federal Reserve notes, is also just a faith-based piece of intangible property. The system's own laws state that any representative of value is intangible property, including your bank account, your address, and your time. Your contract is the supreme asset, a promissory note that is equivalent to cash. When you finance something, you are not a borrower. You are the creditor who originates the asset that funds the transaction. The transaction is a barter, and it is settled at signing. The debt you are paying is a fraudulent double dip, a theft of your abandoned property. You are not a slave to this system. You are its creator. You are its funder. You have been financing the United States with our labor, goods, and service, and all of our property and contracts. You now possess the billion-dollar secret. But this gnosis is not enough. You have identified the asset. Now, you must learn the law. You must learn why the foreign entity, the United States, is legally and statutorily bound to accept your assets and discharge every obligation they claim you owe. Chapter 2.